Hello and welcome to the final presentation of this event. And let's spend the next about 45 minutes by going through what's new for the Workday Finance. Please bear in mind that this presentation does not cover all features that are going to be released. But if you want to get more information about the features, which I will not cover today, please refer to Workday community or feel free to contact me or my colleagues. So my name is Laura Liepa, and I'm Finance Solution Consultant at Tieto Every. I have more than 15 years experience in finance in different financial roles and positions, but currently I'm helping our customers in their financial needs when it comes to Workday. I have several Workday Finance certifications, contracts to cash, banking and settlement and expenses, and as well as Workday Adaptive Insights Platform certification. Webinar practicalities. I believe you have gone through this already several times today, but still, please allow me to quickly highlight some practicalities. So feel free to ask questions via chat. If we will have time, we will take those up at the end of the presentation. If not, you will get your answer via email. This session will be recorded, and also the presentation materials are available for the download. And also, don't forget to join our Digital HR Insider list. Workday Safe Harbor statement, it applies also to this presentation as it contains some forward-looking content. Okay, and this is our agenda for today. I will cover 6 new features in details and also be business process for ad hoc project transactions, billing exceptions table for Project Manager Hub, customer invoice write-off, spend authorization routing for workers with multiple positions, expense protect identifies duplicate expenses, and supply accounts discovery boards. And after that, I will try to cover almost all new features really in short. And at the end of the presentation, we will also check the roadmaps for the Workday Finance area. Okay, so the first topic on our agenda is business process for ad hoc project transactions. With this release, Workday now delivers new business process for your ad hoc project transactions, giving project managers more control and better insight which transactions are allowed for their projects. And also you can now review, revise, and create validations for those new ad hoc project transactions. There's quite detailed list of configuration steps what you need to do if you want to get this new feature working. I will not go through this now because I have covered the most important steps in the following slides. So first, what you need to do, you need to access the ad hoc project transaction event business process. And there you will get to the Workday provided default definition. And there, from there, through related actions menu of the definition, you need to select copy or link business process definition. And when you get on that copy or link business process definition task, there are 2 things you need to do. So first, you need to select effective date. So this is a date from which this business process will be effective. And you also need to select workflow definition. We are used to create business process definitions for company or company hierarchy, but here Workday recommended approach is to use project hierarchies so that you can create different definitions for each project hierarchy if needed. And then when we get on the business process definition itself, then we can create steps as we need. So in this example, we can see there's approval step for project manager added. But of course, you can add as many steps as you need. And of course, as well as for other business processes, you can also add some condition rules for each of those steps if needed. There are 2 additional considerations for this feature. So first is that this business process currently is available only on the Workday users interface, but it is also planned for some future release to provide it also for the web services. Another really important consideration is that the business process has not been enabled for the edit ad hoc project transaction task. So what it means is that this particular business process is only for the new ad hoc project transactions. So if you do any changes to already existing ad hoc project transaction, it means that it will not go through the business process and those changes will take effect immediately. So summary about this feature, what is changing? There is now a new business process for ad hoc project transaction events. And if you want to use this feature, you just need to set up the business process itself. So the next topic on our agenda is billing exceptions table for Project Manager Hub. There is now new billing exception table on the Project Manager Hub. And this table displays billable project transactions that are, for some reason, not yet ready to be billed. And those transactions may be unbillable, which change contract rate, which has not yet been applied to the time transaction, or with no billable rate. Configuration. If you have selected default option for Project Manager Hub, then Workday will automatically display this new table in the new financial health section of the hub. But if you have selected customize option for your Project Manager Hub, then you will need manually configure the hub in order to get this new table visible. Okay, and let's now go to the tenant and check how it looks in real life. I'm logged in as Teresa Serrano. Teresa is controller and she has quite high access rights. So that is the reason why I have chosen her for today's demonstration. Let's try to find Project Manager Hub. So we are now on the Project Manager Hub. And if we go down, then there's this new Project Financial Health section. And if we go still down, then we get to this new billing exceptions table. What we can see in this table is we can see all those three exceptions, which I already mentioned: unbillable, rate changes, and missing rates. We can see all the affected projects. We can see all the number of transactions which are affected, and also we can see some Workday suggested actions. So let's go through one by one, and let's start with missing rates. So this number 21 is clickable, so we can see really those affected transactions. In this case, we can see that for the billable project, Tyro PLC time and expense, we do have customer contract and we do have contract rate sheet. But in this case, most likely practice manager role is just not listed on the rate sheet. Let's see what we get on the suggested actions. We get on the find contract rate sheets task. Let's try to find that rate sheet. Let's go to sheet itself. And here we can see that our assumption is correct. The practice manager role is not listed here. So in order to get these transactions ready to be billed, we need to create additional line to this rate sheet for the practice manager, and then those transactions will be billable. Let's go back to the Project Manager Hub and check the second exception. And that is rate changes. Again, we can click on that number 4 and check what's behind that. And here we can see that consultant Del Tracy has booked his hours on the Montecito time and expense project at the end of October. But we can also see that at the 25th of October, the rate sheet has been changed. So we can see that the effective date for this rate sheet is 25th of October. So most likely, the rate sheet has been changed after Dell has booked his hours, and this rate change has not yet been applied to these transactions. On the suggested actions, we get to the Manage Project Billing Transactions task. Let's improve some search results, and let's add ready to be billed. And also let's add the end of October so that we get only what we need to see. Maybe also additionally we can add filter only consultant role here. So now we get the same for transactions, which we saw on the billing exceptions table for Dale Tracy. And also here we can see that there's this recalculation warning for those transactions. So in order to get these transactions ready to be billed, the only thing we need to do, we need to select all transactions, click the recalculate rates, and all those transactions will disappear from the billing exception table. And then the last exception is unbillable. Let's check what we get there for transactions. And here are three possible reasons why some transactions can appear on this exception. So either there's no customer contract, either there's no contract line, or no billing schedule. So in this case, we can see that all billable projects has customer contracts linked to them, but none of them has contract line and none of them has billing schedule. So in order to get these transactions ready to be billed, we need to go to each of those contracts, create contract lines, create billing schedules, and then those transactions will be ready to be billed. And also from suggested actions button, we get to the find customer contracts so that we can find each of those contracts and make necessary changes. There's one more thing I want to show you about this feature. There might be situations that some persons some persons, like for example, billing specialists, doesn't have access to the project manager hub, but still it would be like really useful to see this new billing exceptions table. Then it's also possible to run this table as a standalone report, and that is called project billing exceptions. And here you can see that we get the same table with the same data by running it also as a standalone report. Some additional considerations.
We have a question in the chat, if I may interrupt you a little bit. So Astrid Hege is asking about the ad hoc project transactions. Then they put validations on ad hoc project transaction business process. It goes to a revised step for the initiator, which is saved for later. Is it possible to add validations directly on the interface? And if yes, how?
Yeah, I'm afraid I will not have the answer right away. I will need to check this. So I will check and I will come back on this question later then. Yeah. In the email. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you for the answer and thanks for the question, Astrid.
Okay, some additional considerations for this billing exceptions table. They all are about this standalone report, which we just saw, and it is secured to the project billing core domain process. So what is changing? There's now new billing exception table to the project manager hub, and also new standalone report, project billing exceptions. And if you want to use this feature, then if you have selected default option for the project manager hub, this table will automatically be visible for you. If not, then you will need to do some configurations. Then the next topic is customer invoice write-off. With this release, Workday continues to enhance and streamline the customer invoice write-off process by enabling you to now configure some company-driven configurations, enabling customers automatically populate or default some key write-off information on write-off lines. And some of the key information that can be defaulted are things like write-off amounts, write-off reasons, invoice header work tags, and balancing work tags. And overall, this feature decreases information amount that must be added manually, decrease manual errors, and improves efficiency. So configuration, if you want to use this feature, you need to access the Edit Customer Account Options task, and there are some new options added on the task, and we will check those in a minute in the demonstration. But please note that this configuration only applies when you access the write-off bad debt task from the related actions menu of the customer invoice or customer invoice adjustment. Okay, let's go back to the tenant. And let's access this Edit Customer Account Options task. Customer options. And for demonstration purposes, I have chosen Global Modern Services France. Let's take that company. And here on the Edit Customer Account Options task, there is now new section added, Invoice Write-off Options, and there are two options. So first option, copy invoice header work text to write-off lines. This option enables you to specify which work tag should carry over from the invoice header to the individual write-off lines. And for demonstration purposes, I have chosen only cost center. And second option, autofill write-off lines and balancing work tags. If you select this option, then each write-off line will automatically populate write-off amount, as well as any associated balancing work tags. So this was for the configuration. Let's click OK and done. And now let's find a customer invoice, which we could write off so that we can see how it works. And for that, I will use find customer invoice for company report. Invoice for company. As a settings we just saw was for the Global Modern Services France company. So we need to choose the same company also here. Let's add some additional filters, payment status, unpaid. Okay, and here we can take any of the invoices. Let's take this one. And here I want you to pay attention to the cost center information, because according to the settings we just did, the cost center should be carried over from the invoice header to the write-off lines. And here the cost center is 71300 field sales. So from invoice related actions menu, we take customer invoice, write-off bad debt. Let's add some write-off reason, choose the bad debt. So here also the write-off date now automatically populates today's date, and also you can add a memo if needed. And when we get on the write-off lines, so what you can see is that the cost center information has been automatically populated in from the invoice header to the individual write-off lines. Also bad debt write-off reason has been automatically populated in from the write-off header. And the write-off amount also has been automatically populated in from the amount due. So additional considerations about this feature. Now, when you create a customer invoice write-off, it's possible to create it with a future transaction date. And also, it's no longer possible to create a write-off with a transaction date that's before the invoice date. Also, when you specify a default write-off reasons on the write-off header, which we just did in the demonstration, where they automatically populate the write-off reason for each write-off line, but that is something you can override. So if for some reason some of the write-off lines should have different reason, you can change that. And where they automatically populate the write-off amount for each line using this formula, invoice amount due minus sum of all write-off lines. And also where they group the total write-off amount by write-off reason. So what is changing? Bad debt write-off now automatically populates write-off lines. And if you want to use this feature, you need to configure the customer account options for each company performing bad debt write-off. So then the next one is spend authorization routing for workers with multiple positions. Workday continues to enhance routing for expense transactions. So in case there are workers which hold multiple positions, then now it is possible to associate spent authorization with one specific position. If you remember, for the last release, there was a feature which enabled possibility to associate expense reports for the specific positions. So now it is enabled also for the spent authorizations. So overall, this improves expense data accuracy and reduces manual effort, because when you associate spent authorization with the correct position, then fields like company, cost center, location, etc. Automatically populates in based on the selected position. And also this particular spent authorization then is routed for approval based on the position you specify. Configuration, the only thing you need to do if you want to use this feature, on the maintain feature opt-ins report, you just need to opt into it. So here I have an example. On the maintain feature opt-ins report, the only thing you need to do, you need to click the button. I have here opt out because I have already switched this feature on, but you most likely will have here opt in button. There's one important thing which I need to mention. So if you want to use spent authorization routing for workers with multiple positions feature, you must also switch on expense report routing for workers with multiple position. So what it means is if you want to route those, if you want to use this feature only for the expense reports, this routing for multiple positions, then it's sufficient that you switch on only expense report feature. But if you want to use it also for the spent authorizations, then you need to switch on both of the features. So this is really important to remember. Okay, and then let's check how it looks in real life. I will now log out as Teresa, and I will log in as John Westbrook. John is holding multiple positions. And let's check that. So his primary position is facilities administrator, and as facilities administrator, his manager is Enrique Vasquez. But John is also holding secondary position as a receptionist. And as a receptionist, his manager is Catherine. So now let's try to create a new spent authorization for his receptionist role. And based on the feature description, we could assume that this spent authorization then should be sent for approval to Catherine. Let's check if it works. Let's create spent authorization. So what has changed here is that there's new position prompt. So in this case, John can choose for which position he would like to create this spent authorization. And in our case, we'll choose receptionist as that is a secondary position. Also, when you choose the right position, information like company on the spent authorization header and also on the lines, information like cost center, location, region, this information automatically populates in based on the position you select. So this really saves the time. And let's create some spent authorization. Some meals, for example. 200 US dollars. Let's click submit. And now we can see that the system works as expected. This spent authorization has been routed to Catherine for the approval, since Catherine is John manager for the receptionist role. Some additional considerations. So as already mentioned, if you want to use this feature, you must also opt into the expense report routing for workers with multiple positions feature. Then this position prompt will not be displayed for workers which have only one active position, and also for future or terminated workers. Then when you use the create new expense report from spend authorization option, the system automatically will populate the expense report with the position, company, and work tags related to the position on the spend authorization. And also for this feature, it's currently not enabled for the Workday web services. So summary, now it's possible to route spend authorizations, sorry, not route, but associate spend authorizations with specific positions when workers hold multiple positions. And if you want to use this, you just need opt into it. Then the next one is Expense Protect identifies duplicate expenses. Expense Protect current capabilities include flagging expenses for amount anomaly and as well as incorrect expense item. But with this release, Workday delivers enhancements to Expense Protect functionality by leveraging machine learning to detect duplicate expenses against paid expenses. So when users submit expenses, Expense Protect evaluates them and identifies potential duplicate expenses and flags them for the reviewer or approver by providing a risk level and risk insight. So this speeds up the review process and helps expense partners to quickly and easily identify duplicate expenses.
Laura, I'd like to interrupt you here. There's a question in the chat from Heidi. We might need to elaborate this a little bit, but write-off bad debt, do you know how the VAT is handled?
Yeah, that is also a really good question. No, I will need to check it before I answer. I think I know, but don't want to answer wrongly. Okay. I will check it.
Maybe okay. That's better. Thank you for the answer and thanks for the question.
So configuration for this feature, so it will be automatically available if you have Expense Protect currently enabled in your tenant. If you haven't yet, but you would like to, then please know that this is part of the innovation services. What is really important to note that now Workday enables you to opt into the Expense Protect innovation service when your tenant has 10,000 expense report lines. So we are here on the maintain expense risk level configuration task. And with this feature, default risk level configuration has been separated for each risk insight type. Here we can see that for incorrect expense item and amount anomaly, risk score amounts are the same. Risk score results for each risk level are the same. But for the newly delivered duplicate expense type, it has different. Please check it and analyze if that is true duplicate expense or not. So additional considerations, as I already explained, Expense Protect will detect duplicate expenses if there's an expense line with the same amount, currency, date, expense item, and payee. Also, Expense Protect functionality detects duplicates among expenses across the submission span of 1 year. And it will compare submitted expense report lines with other matching expense lines in that current report, and also matching historical expense lines taken from the approved and paid expense reports. So what is changing? Expense Protect functionality is now able to detect duplicate expenses against paid expenses, and this feature is automatically available if the Expense Protect is enabled in your tenant. And then the last one is supply accounts discovery boards. As promised in the roadmap, with this release, Workday delivers a new discovery board experience for supplier accounts or payables managers. And this experience helps to improve analytics and reporting efficiency, thus streamlining the operations. Configuration, if you want to see this new discovery board, you need to configure some security policies for Drive discovery boards create and discovery boards manage delivery discovery boards. Then you need to copy this new discovery board to your Drive, edit some visualizations if needed, and then you can share it with the accounts payable manager group or some specific individuals in your organization. This is how it looks like. So there are 4 sheets for this discovery boards, one for spend, one for supply analysis, for discounts and process efficiency. And each of those sheets have several dashboards. So for spend, in this example, we can see there's spend analysis for invoices, top 10 spend categories, top 10 invoice adjustment reasons, managed versus unmanaged spend, and top suppliers by spend category. And some additional considerations, so some new visualizations can be added, and also the reports can be customized according to your company requirements by the discovery board's administrator. And for users to view the data, they need to have the access to appropriate domains. So summary, there's now new supplier accounts discovery board, and if you want to see this new board, you need to configure domain security policies and create a copy of the board to your Drive. Okay, and then let's quickly go through the other features. I have divided those under 7 different topics. So first, for cash banking and settlement, with this release for miscellaneous payment requests, Workday now supports electronic payments issued to a payee mobile phone number or email address rather than the bank account information. So here we are talking about the solutions like Zelle or Venmo or PayPal. Then also Workday now enables to copy an existing cash sale to quickly create a new cash sale. And also Workday delivers a new public web service for payment returns. Then for customer accounts, Workday now enables customers to apply multiple adjustments to a single customer invoice in bulk, enabling to apply large numbers of invoice adjustments efficiently. Then Workday also now automatically creates a credit adjustment from customer contract when the associated customer invoice results in a negative amount due. So what it means is if your amount due is greater or equal to 0, then your customer invoice document is created, and that is existing functionality. But the new functionality is if your amount due is less than 0, so it results in a negative amount due, then customer invoice adjustment document is created rather than the customer invoice. Then also Workday now enables you to send emails from multiple addresses, allowing you to deliver emails from a different email address for each company or functional area within your organization. So this streamlines the communications from Workday, allows you to tailor your email communication to suit your business needs, and improves visibility into your outgoing mail. And with this feature, Workday continues to enhance intelligent customer payment matching feature by now enabling customers to receive recommendations for on behalf of and cross-customer payments. And please note that this feature is part of the innovation services. Then for supplier accounts, with this release, Workday enables automatic ingestion of invoices from emails to support supplier invoice automation. So invoices from email automatically get scanned by the optical character recognition. This actually is a very good feature. So if you do receive invoices through email, please check this What's New post in the community for more details. Also, with this release, you can now create payment purpose codes in Workday to enter those codes for supplier payments to comply with some bank or certain country requirements. And also Workday enables you to maintain cancel reasons and associate particular cancel reason at the time of canceling a supplier invoice from the invoice work area. And you can also select cancel reasons when canceling invoices in bulk. Then for expenses, with this feature, employees can email receipts from their inbox to the email domain. like, for example, expenses at companyname.com. Then if the receipt scanning is enabled, receipts would be scanned, and then lastly, Workday creates a quick expense for the user. Then distance calculation for expenses, this feature unfortunately is delayed. Intended preview date is 17th of February, which is tomorrow. So there's not much I can tell about this feature, but overall, this is planned as an enhancement for distance calculation by enabling you to enter round trips on a single line on expense reports and spend authorizations. Then for projects, Workday continues to enhance project planner functionality by improving how you create and view project plans. So basically, there are some new buttons on the project planner, and navigation between the multi-level project phases and tasks is more intuitive and user-friendly. You can now also add project phases and tasks on time and expense customer contract lines, enabling you to bill and recognize revenue for billable projects without creating multiple projects. Also, you can now create templates to use on consolidated billing schedules or on customer contract lines. And Workday continues to enhance the project manager hub by enabling you to configure and adjust card attributes. So basically, there are some specific project manager hub cards which you can customize according to your organization needs. Then for common financial management, Workday continues to enhance Accounting Center by now enabling you to create a manual journal with work tags and additional attributes in detailed accounting. You can use these manual journal entries to either correct the data sent by the source system or create accruals in the current period for the reversal in the next period. Please note that the Accounting Center detailed journals don't post directly to your ledger, but are summarized before the posting. And also, Workday now provides a configurable business process to review and approve detailed accounting journals prior to summarization and posting. Then with this release, Workday also enhances Accounting Center by enabling you to inactivate an accounting source that is incomplete, wrongly configured, or that you no longer need. Then Workday now enables you to import and create translation adjustment journal lines using any combination of worktag types, so saving your time and effort. And also Workday continue to improve journal insight functionality skills by not only servicing worktag, ledger count, and line company anomalies, but also amount anomalies. And amount anomaly in this case is defined as a journal line that has debit or credit amount, which is significantly higher or lower than lines with similar attributes. And then lastly, for the analytics and reporting, Workday continues to improve on Office Connect functionality, and there are two new features related to that. So the first feature is that now in Office Connect reports, you can include more than one hierarchy per dimension. This enables users to use different hierarchies in dimensions like companies, ledger accounts, and cost centers. And the second feature is that now report creators can select an effective date for the report, enabling them to report on dimensions as they were organized in hierarchies on that specific date. Okay, and then finally, roadmaps. Let's spend some couple of minutes for the finance-related roadmaps. So this is a roadmap for the Accounting Center. Some future plans here are Office Connect availability, also for the Accounting Center data, and alternate ledger currency. This actually is some kind of cross-functional feature because you will be able to see this the same feature also on other roadmaps for the Workday Finance area. Then for banking and settlement, we can see here that all features for this release was for the settlement area. But if I need to highlight something for the future, then there's no big changes from my side. I'm still looking forward for multi-currency bank accounts and some improvements for cash forecasting in order to decentralize the process where users could easily split forecasting worksheets by company, bank account, or data sources. Then all future plans for core financial roadmap is with zero-day close vision in mind, and that is the vision to provide real-time continuous business insights and to surface exceptions continuously so that finance can take action immediately rather than waiting for the end of the period. For expenses, we can expect new languages for OCR receipt scanning and some improvements for Expense Protect. Then there are quite many new features available with this release in project area, and we can also see that project roadmap is quite full with new ideas and future plans. But there's one feature at least I am really interested in, and that is intelligent resource management. We all know that having the right stuff at the right time is really an essential part of each project. So Workday is now working on this new intelligent system, which would help to assign resources more intelligently, taking into account factors like skills, project resource scheduling, and headcount planning. At its core, there will be a rich matching engine in order to match resource demand with resource supply, surface it as a suggestion, and support the workflow around aligning resources with the projects. Then revenue roadmap, we can see that major emphasis in this release was for the payment processing and also for the future. I would like to highlight this feature for payment processing, automatically create customer payments from a bank statement. This really sounds promising. And for supply accounts, no big plans for future releases. Maybe not so big plans in count-wise, but for example, this intercompany netting feature seems to be really good. Let me spend a bit time on this. So if you have to do business with your sister companies, you can create customer and supplier invoices for your sister companies. And if you are using this, the complication here is to settle these transactions. So because currently you have to run two different settlement runs, but in future, what they will allow you to net out the due to and due from your sister company balances in just one settlement run. And the benefit of this will be processing efficiency and also possible reduction in any associated bank charges. So thank you. That was it from my side for Workday Finance area. But before you go, please don't hesitate to contact me or my colleagues if you have any further questions. Also, I will try to answer those two questions which we had during the presentation. And please fill in a really short 4-question survey about my presentation. I will highly value your feedback. Survey is available via QR code visible on the screen or link in the chat.